Hello, and welcome to Chapter 7 Homework Review. The first problem that we're going to look at today is problem 7-6. EMC Corporation has never paid a dividend. Its current free cash flow of $400,000 is expected to grow at a constant rate of 5%. The WACC is 12%. Let's calculate the value of operations. The first thing we need to assess is whether we know the free cash flow at time 0 or time 1. Looking at this, we know that it's a current free cash flow. Therefore, we would use the formula free cash flow times 1 plus the growth rate divided by the WACC minus the growth rate. So here we have 400,000 times 1 plus the growth rate is 5%. Let's do our order of operations divided by the WACC of 12% minus our growth rate of 5%. The value of EMC's operations is $6 million. Looking at problem 7-7, current and projected free cash flows for Riddell Global operations are shown here. Growth is expected to be constant after 2018 and the WACC is 11%. What is the horizon value at 2019 if growth from 2018 forward remains the same? So first we need to figure out what our growth ratio is from 2018 to 2019. To do so, we would simply take 19 minus our free cash flow for 18 divided by our free cash flow for 18. Our growth rate is 6% going forward. It asked us to find the horizon value at 2019. Our horizon value formula is equal to the value of operations, which is equal to the free cash flow during the last year that we're looking at. So in this case, it would be 2018 because we're looking for the value at 2019 times 1 plus the growth rate divided by WACC minus the growth rate. So similar to the formula that we just used. So it's going to equal 707.55 times 105 order of operations. I'm sorry, the growth rate is 6%, so it would be 106 divided by our WACC is 11 and our growth rate again is 6%. The horizon value for this company is $15 million. Let's look at problem 7.9. Crisp Cookware's common stock is expected to pay a dividend of $3 per share at the end of the year. So therefore D1 equals $3. Its beta is 0.8. The risk-free rate is 5.2% and the market risk premium is 6%. The dividend is expected to grow at some constant rate of GL and the stock currently sells for $40 per share. Assuming that the market is in equilibrium, what does the market believe will be the stock's price at the end of year 3? So therefore, what's year 3? P3. So what do we know? Let's write that down. We know that D1 is $3. We know that the risk-free rate is 5.2%. We know that the market risk premium is 6%. P0 is $40 per share. And we also know our beta is 0.8. So what do we do with this information? The first step is that we need to calculate the rate of return in order to be able to solve for P3. So how do we calculate our rate of return? Our rate of return is equal to the risk-free rate plus, sorry about that, our market risk premium times our beta. Therefore, our required rate of return is going to equal 5.2% plus 6% times our beta, which is 10%. Now where do we go from here? We're going to use our constant growth formula to calculate the growth rate. We rearrange the formula. We know that the rate of return on the stock, the required rate of return, is equal to D1 divided by P0 plus GL. Therefore, 10% is equal to $3 divided by $40 plus the growth rate. We would rearrange the formula solving for G. G equals 2.5%. I'll show that to you guys. So 10% equals 3 divided by 40 is 0.75. So 10% equals 7.5% plus G. So 10% minus 7.5% is how we got the 2.5% growth rate. All right, now let's solve for P3. There's a couple of different ways that we can do this. The first one is using our Excel formulas. We're solving for the future value in year 3. We know that the rate is the 2.5% we just calculated. The number of periods is 3 years from now. The payment is 0, and our present value of the stock is $40. Using our future value formula, we would put in our rate, number of periods, payment, and present value. Let's put that in as a negative. So our stock price in year 3 is expected to be $43.08. I'll show you 2 other ways that we could have done this. We could have solved for the present value. We could have used the formula present value times 1 plus the growth rate to the 3rd power. So equals $40 times 1 plus the growth rate of 2.5 to the 3rd power will give us the same answer, 43.08. We also could have solved for D4 and used that to calculate the price. D4 is equal to D1 times 1 plus the growth rate to the 3rd power. D4 equals $3 times 1 plus 0.025 to the 3rd power. Oops. Forgot my parentheses. So we know that the dividend that will be paid will be $3.23. So using our formula to solve for P3 is D4 divided by our required rate of return minus our growth rate. Therefore, P3 equals D4 divided by the required rate of 0.025 minus, 0.10 minus 0.025 as the growth rate. So again, we have 43.08. So those are three different methods that we can use to calculate the price of the stock in 3 years. Now let's look at problem 7-15. You buy a share of the Ludwig Corporation stock for $21.40. You expect it to pay dividends of 107, 11449, and 12250 in years 1, 2, and 3, respectively. And you expect to sell it at a price of $26.22 at the end of 3 years. Let's calculate the growth in dividends. This is a straightforward growth formula. Our growth is going to equal the 1.1449 divided by the 107, and that minus 1. So our growth rate is 7%. Calculate the expected dividend yield. The dividend yield is the percentage of dividends as paid out as a percentage of the stock price. So we know that our dividends are 107 and our stock price is 21.40. Therefore, our dividend yield is 5%. Let's go back to problem A for a second. Another way that we could have figured out the rate is using our Excel formulas. So we're solving for the rate. We know that the period is 1. The present value is 107. The payment is 0. And the future value is 1449, sorry. So we use our rate formula. Number of periods is 1. Payment is 0. Present value is 107. Future value is 1149. And again, our rate is 7%. Okay? We just calculate our dividend yield as 5%. Assuming that the calculated growth rate is expected to continue, you can add the dividend yield to the expected growth rate to obtain the expected total rate of return. What is the stock's expected total rate of return? This is simply taking the dividend yield plus the expected growth rate, which is also equal to the capital gain yield, and we get 12% as our total return for this stock. And finally, let's look at problem 7-17. Kendra Enterprises has never paid a dividend. Free cash flow is projected to be $80,000 and $100,000 for the next 2 years, respectively. After the second year, free cash flows is expected to grow at a constant rate of 8%. The company's WACC is 12%. What is the terminal or horizon value of operations? Hint, find the value of all the free cash flows beyond year 2 discounted back to year 2. So the first step in here is we need to figure out what the horizon date is. We know our free cash flows for year 1 and 2. Therefore, the horizon date is year 3. We can calculate our cash flow for year 3 by taking the year 2 cash flow and multiplying it by the growth rate of 8%. Where do we go from here? First, we calculate our horizon value. This is our free cash flows for year 3 divided by the difference in WACC and growth rate, minus 0.8. Okay, $2.7 million. Calculate the value of Kendra's operations. Okay, so in order to calculate the value of Kendra's operations, we need to calculate the present value of each of the cash flows that are known. So we know the cash flows in year 1 and 2, and our horizon value is going to be included as part of the year 2 cash flows. Okay, so the final year in the forecast has 2 cash flows. So year 1 is 80,000, and year 2 is going to be 100,000 plus the 2.7 million, 2.8 million. We can use our net present value formula to calculate our value of operations. Equals net present value. Our rate is the WACC of 0.12, and the values are going to be these two values. So the value of operations is $2.3 million. We could also individually calculate the present value of each of the cash flows. So we would start with 80,000 divided by 1 plus the WACC to the first power. Let's do our order of operations. Okay. And then we would do the same thing for the 100,000. I'm just copying the formula, and it's going to be in year 2. Okay. And then we would also have to calculate the present value for the horizon value, which is also in year 2. We add the 3 present values together, and we get the same answer, 2,303,571. So those are 2 different methods to calculate the value of operations when the free cash flows are not constant. I've also posted a document under the Go Live section under additional resources that goes through some helpful information and lays out some formulas that will assist you with your case study. Thank you.